A special case of harm OCD is self-harm OCD, in which an individual with obsessive compulsive disorder has unwanted intrusive thoughts about killing themselves. Um, in this type of OCD, you might get images of yourself sort of stabbing yourself in the wrist with a knife or a razor blade, or shooting yourself, or you might get images of yourself sort of beyond the grave at your own funeral, watching people mourn your death. You might be standing in front of a subway train as the train approaches, have this thought of jumping in front of the train. Now, what's often misunderstood in self-harm OCD is the individual doesn't actually have any suicidal urges. They're having unwanted intrusive thoughts about killing themselves. These thoughts are popping into their head sort of against their will. And, understandably, in sort of modern day America, where we're concerned with the problem of suicide, people often react very strongly to this information. And so it's not at all uncommon for people with harm OCD or self-harm OCD to have been hospitalized, often because they have all these thoughts about suicide. And so a mental health provider at some point has said, you know what, let's keep them safe in the hospital. Unfortunately, this is the exact wrong move. It's actually just participating in a compulsion in which a person who doesn't actually have any urges to kill themselves, but is having a fear that they might kill themselves, is being put into an environment to ensure that this won't happen. And while it probably provides tremendous relief to the individual with self-harm OCD, it is a compulsion, and it ultimately isn't helping in the long term, which is, the goal in exposure with response prevention is to learn to tolerate this uncertainty. There's no way to be 100% sure that you'll never act on these thoughts. There's no way to be 100% sure that you will be safe for the rest of your life. There's always some small risk involved in just being a human being. And so the goal is to learn to tolerate these risks and move forward. And unfortunately, with hospitalization, we see the exact opposite happening.